as in the celebrated family card game, in the family Low, I would like George, the nephew. Less centre stage than the action of his cousin Jeff, he has collected a number of first ascents without losing his passion for adventure and the mountains, even at the age of 80. His uncle Ralph passed on several basics of alpinism, but he quickly stood on his own 2 feet. Talk of him began following the time he carried out his first winter ascent of Mount Owen, 3,942 metres in the Tetons. This mountain range of Wyoming inspired him, and he returned the following year with the first winter ascent of Mount Moran and the first winter ascent of the north face of the Grand Teton. Other North American mountain ranges saw his hallmark. In 1971, a change of continents, and his bid for the first ascension of the north face of Huando Norte. The following year opened with the north face of Mount Alberta, Canadian Rockies. He singled out that which was to become his first big success, the north face of North Twin. In 1974, he roped up with Chris Jones. It took them 7 days to become the first on the face in alpine style, a lightweight and audacious ascent, acknowledged as it ought to be by Barry Blanchard, who judged it more difficult than all that has been done in the European Alps and beyond. Frontiers were opened, and so much the better for George, who is curious about everything. Mountains, of course, but equally so cultures. He took part in the Russian rally and the Dalarka in Kyrgyzstan. The following summer, he opened up a major line in Alaska, Infinite Spur, on the immense face of Foraker, a route that was to become a benchmark of one of the greatest routes of the range. In 1978, the high point of his career, with the famous attempt on the north ridge of Latok 1 in the Karakoram. Donini, Michael Kennedy and his cousin Jeff spent 21 days on the mountain, overcoming the main difficulties before finally giving up at around 7,000 metres, only 150 metres from the summit because of the state of Jeff's health. Michael Kennedy suggested, although we didn't reach the summit, we returned with something far more important, our friends alive, which goes to show the brotherhood of the team. This failure, rather qualifying as a near summit, remains one of the most pleasant and most remarkable in the history of alpinism. Despite several attempts, this ridge has to date never been climbed in its entirety. High altitude equally interested him, and like many alpinists, he departed for the roof of the world. But unlike the majority, he had in his heart set on the hidden face of Everest, the gigantic Kangshung Slope. After a first attempt in 1981 with a strong international team, George Low returned 2 years later to finish the work, and notably to overcome the famous rock buttress of 1,100 metres, which formed the key passage of the route and which carries his name today. This high face of 4,000 metres took weeks of effort. Low finally reached the summit on the 9th of October 1983 with Dan Reed and Jay Cassell, several hours after Carlos Bula and Louis Richard. What to do after such a famous success? Surely not retire. George continued to survey the Himalayan peaks with a great attempt on K2 in 1986 and a solo ascent on Dholagiri, followed by a descent in a storm at night. There followed a bunch of climbs and summits that George had dreamed of setting foot on. As a good father, he continued to pass on to his daughters the taste of adventure, passion, and to hang on to life.